live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A very good evening and welcome to the national news telecast of the prestigious channel of Sri Lanka. Bringing you the latest updates from home and across borders. I'm Vibodha Vijay Bandara.
And I'm Sutami Jayaratna. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
The draft bill to repeal the special privileges of presidents gazetted. Sri Lanka will be converted to a country free of fraud and corruption, emphasizes the president. Tariffs imposed on a large number of countries by President Trump will come into effect from tomorrow. Seat belts will become compulsory for passengers on expressways from tomorrow. The first test tube baby birth conducted by the medical faculty of the University of Kelaniya.
Those stories and more in detail. The draft bill repealing the special privilege of President was issued today by a Gazette notification under the order of the Minister of Justice and National Integration. Accordingly, provision of the monthly allowance or the housing allowance, monthly secretary allowance, official transport and other such facilities have been suspended for a former president or a widow of a former president. Steps have been taken to suspend the monthly pension being paid to a widow of a former president also. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake emphasizes that steps will be taken to convert Sri Lanka into a country where no one will even think of fraud and corruption.
He added that stern action will be taken in order to prevent corruption. The president made this observation addressing the Sri Lankan community in the Maldives. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake returned to the island last night, successfully concluding his 3-day state visit to the Maldives. President Dissanayake, who left Sri Lanka on the 28th of this month, was warmly welcomed by the Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu on arrival in the Maldives.
To the President of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Anurakkumara Dissanayake, from the vibrant soul and tranquil heart of the Maldives. The
official welcome ceremony was held at the Republic Square in the capital, Male. A Guard of Honor of the National Defence Forces was also accorded to the President Anurakkumara Dissanayake. Bilateral negotiations between the two countries commenced later. The two key agreements exchanged during the visit were Mutual Legal Assistance Agreement between Sri Lanka and the Maldives and a Memorandum of Understanding between the Foreign Service Institute of Maldives and the Bandaranaike International Diplomatic Training Institute of Sri Lanka. President Muizzu also hosted a special state banquet in honor of President Dissanayake at the Kurumba Maldives resort. In conjunction of the state visit of President Anurakkumara Dissanayake to the Maldives, the government of Maldives has announced that Sri Lankan citizens traveling to the Maldives for tourism purposes will be granted a free 90-day on-arrival tourist visa. President Dissanayake also held discussions with the Deputy Speaker of the country and the Cabinet of Ministers. To mark the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations, President Dissanayake planted a sapling at Sultan Park in Male. The President also addressed the business forum jointly organized by the Sri Lanka High Commission in the Maldives and the Sri Lanka Maldives Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, as well as a gathering of Sri Lankan expatriate community and organized by the Sri Lanka High Commission. President Anurakkumara Dissanayake said that in order to uplift rural livelihoods, the economic sectors that people were engaged in needed to be developed. He emphasized that today's supply chain was not seasonal but continuous, and accordingly, the country must move to new cultivation plans. He said that the government had prepared plans for this and that their products needed to be exported. The President pointed out that a strong public transport service was particularly necessary as the transport costs incurred by citizens in the country were very high. President Dissanayake mentioned that the government had prepared plans to improve public transport. The President also highlighted the importance of the energy sector. He stated that for a long time the Kalanthissa and Kerawalapitiya power plant systems had been running on naphtha and furnace oil, but they would be quickly converted to LNG, which would reduce energy costs. He further stated that there were several key sectors like education, health and agriculture. Speaking about the health sector, the President acknowledged that there were medicine shortages in some places, but claimed that it was not due to a lack of money, rather it was a crisis within the procurement system. The President noted that he had recently summoned everyone involved in the supply sector and that there were about 6,000 tenders typically. He described the problem as a complex and added that discussions would be held with the Procurement Commission to move towards a new process for medicine purchases. President Dissanayake emphasized that the sufficient funds had been allocated in the budget for medicines and equipment and that a large number of tenders for the following year had already been called and concluded. The President stated that the development of health, education and transport was considered the foremost responsibility of the government. The President called on the people to work together with the hope of creating a better country than the one they were born into, a country where their children would not endure the same hardships and where the next generation would have more hope and aspirations. The President asserted that this was the government for that purpose. The President was accompanied on this visit by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijay Theherath along with several senior government officials. Now, a discussion with the heads of the National Steering Committee appointed to monitor the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan for the years 2025 till 2029 and the relevant state and private sector institutions responsible for this initiative was held yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat. It was held under the patronage of Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanat Kumar Nayaka. The National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, launched on the 9th April 2025 under the theme Towards a Country of Integrity, is an initiative based on the vision of President Anurakumara Dissanayake. It is scheduled to be implemented over a 5-year period from 2025 onwards. During the meeting, the Secretary to the President emphasized that the heads of all institutions tasked with responsibilities pertaining to the activities outlined in the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan must develop an action plan to meet their assigned duties. Furthermore, the National Steering Committee is expected to periodically assess the progress of these action plans. The National Steering Committee comprises representatives from both the public and private sectors. The Steering Committee is chaired by the Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanat Kumar Nayaka, while Ranga Dissanayake, Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, serves as its chairman and convener.
The White House has announced that the tariff imposed by US President Donald Trump on several countries will come into effect starting tomorrow. Following the announcement of these tariff policies, many countries entered into diplomatic discussions with the US to negotiate trade agreements and seek reduction in tariff rates. Countries such as South Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam and the European Union held talks with the Trump administration and managed to reach trade agreements. As a result, they were able to secure significant reduction in the imposed tariff. Meanwhile, President Trump has imposed a 25% tariff on India, along with an additional penalty that has not been yet officially disclosed. For Sri Lanka, the Trump administration announced a 30% tariff. In response, the Sri Lankan government has been holding continuous discussions with US representatives to reduce the rates. Previously, Sri Lanka faced a 44% tariff, which was brought down to 30% following negotiations. President Anurakumara Dissanayake also held further discussions last week with the US Trade Representative Jamison Gripper regarding this tariff.
Now, the second Kandy Perahera of the Sri Dalanda Perahera of Kandy is parading the streets tonight. It was commenced at the auspicious time, which fell at 7:01 p.m. A large crowd, including tourists, were present to witness the Perahera. The Central Environment Authority requests the public to refrain from carrying plastic items while coming to view the Perahera.
A special program is in operation for the safety of the public who are visiting Kandy to witness Asala Perahera, along with a special traffic plan. Indi Raja Tasker carried the sacred casket of Perahera, while Kote Raja and Miyan Raja also parade on both sides of the Tasker. Today, the Perahera of Vishnu, Natha, Kataragama and Pattini four Devalayas will parade streets along with the Perahera of Sri Dalada Maligawa. Seatbelts will have to be worn in passenger transport buses on Expressway from tomorrow. According to the National Transport Commission, it has been mandatory from the 1st of September. Chairman of the National Transport Commission P.A. Chandrapala said that from September it has been made compulsory for passengers travelling on expressway buses to wear seat belts. He stated that other vehicles using the expressway will also fall under this regulation. According to the provision of the Motor Traffic Act, drivers are required to ensure that passengers are transported while wearing safety belts. He further explained that the National Transport Commission issued this announcement specially for the safety of passengers travelling on buses under its preview.
Now in health news, the first baby conceived through the tube baby technology by the state sector was delivered today at the Colombo North Teaching Hospital. This baby was conceived last year successfully by the Fertility Centre of the Obstetric and Gynecology Department of the University of Kelaniya. The relevant baby was delivered at the Ragama Colombo North Teaching Hospital by caesarean surgery. This tube baby conception was conducted by a medical team headed by consultant obstetric and gynecologist senior lecturer Dr. Suranga Hettipathirana. The caesarean surgery was done by a medical team headed by the consultant gynecologist of the University of Kelaniya, Professor Rasika Herath. This is the first tube baby birth conducted in a government hospital. Doctors stated that the 31-year-old mother and the baby are in good health condition at present. Speaking about this milestone, consultant gynecologist Professor Rasika Herath said that today is a significant day for the obstetric and gynecology department of the Kelaniya Medical Faculty. This IVF facility was developed over a period of a decade with extensive tests. This is the first clinical IVF pregnancy in a government hospital. The baby was safely delivered today. Consultant gynecologist Dr. Sangeeta Vikramaratne says that the baby is healthy male with proper weight. Consultant gynecologist Prabhat Randompe said that the mother was less fertile and had many pregnancy complications. The gynecology department of the Kelaniya University now has the facility to treat such complications through cutting-edge tests.
Ceremonial sitting held at the Supreme Court to formally welcome new Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena with the participation of judges of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, High Courts, District Courts and Magistrate Courts. While addressing the ceremonial sitting, new Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena stated that he intends to fast-track the digitalization of the court system across the country, emphasizing that the time has come to adopt technologically advanced method in the administration of justice. Attorney General, President's Counsel Parinder Ranasinghe and Bar Association President Ranjiv Amarasuriya also addressed this gathering.
Now, the Supreme Court today granted leave to hear an appeal petition filed against a verdict given by the appeals court, acquitting and releasing 3 convicts, including former State Minister Premalal Jayasekara, who were under death sentence to be made null and void. Premalal Jayasekara was sentenced to death under the charge of killing a person by shooting at a political rally in Kahawat of the then presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena during the presidential election period in 2015. The petitioner says that the appeal court verdict to release him and other suspects was against the law. Therefore, they have requested to reactivate the death sentence given by the High Courts against the defendants by quashing the appeal court decision. In the meantime, the arrested daughter of parliamentarian Rohit Abegunawardena, Rochelle Melanie Abegunawardena, has been released on bail. This decision was taken when she was produced before the Mathugama Magistrates Court today. She was charged against preparing forged documents, changing chassis and engine numbers of a vehicle imported illegally to the country, and included the false data into the data system of the Motor Traffic Department and selling the relevant vehicle. She surrendered to the Valan anti-vice squad in Kalutara yesterday to give a statement. Accordingly, when the case was resummoned today, the Mathugama Magistrates Court ordered to release her on 2 personal bails, each worth 2 million rupees each. Meanwhile, a petition has been filed before the Colombo High Court requesting former Chief Minister of North Western Province S.M. Ranjit and his cousin Shanti Chandrasena on bail. They have been sentenced to a 16-year rigorous imprisonment on a corruption charge. The relevant petition was summoned today and the Colombo High Court judge ordered to reconvene the case on the 25th of August to confirm the relevant appeal.
A person has been assassinated at the Duamodara in Kosgade area this morning. Police say that the victim is a son of a person who is maintaining a turtle conservation center. The shooting was done by two unidentified persons mounted on a motorcycle at the victim's house. The deceased has been identified as a 23-year-old tour guide in the area. Police suspect the killers have used T-56 weapon for the shooting. The motorbike alleged to used by the suspect was found in the river near the Aturuvella bridge in Kosgode. Police have seized a stock of ice, narcotics and heroin at the Boralla area worth over 10 million rupees. Police has searched a suspect motorbike at Sirisara Uyan apartment in Boralla. Then the police have found 1 kilogram and 105 grams of ice and 125 grams of heroin. Sri Lanka Navy has seized a whole of cannabis weighing over 100 kilograms at a special search operation conducted at Aripu area in Silavatra. The stock of cannabis is worth over 20 million rupees. During the search operation conducted by the North Central and Northwestern Naval Commands, the whole of cannabis packed in 43 sachets was found. A stock of bead leaves illegally brought to the country through a Vellamankare sea route in Vennapur was taken into police custody. Vennapur police have arrested two suspects. Nearly 379 kilograms of bead leaves were ready to be transported. On an information received to the Army Intelligence Unit's Police Special Task Force has conducted a search operation in Vattirayan area in Maradankani yesterday. A stock of 108 kilos of Kerala cannabis has been taken into custody.
Now, a sub-working committee has been appointed recently in order to find out the solutions for discrepancies in the salaries of the government service and problems related to it. This will be active under the Advisory Working Council of the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and the local government. Matters related to salaries in the government service will be decided by the Public Administration Circular number 6 of 2006 and number 3 of 2016, which is in operation now. It is also expected to conduct a scientific review regarding the existing posts and the duty-related salary scales in order to raise the standard of professionalism in the government service. Later, a new salary structure will be introduced in the entire government service in accordance with the proposals forwarded by the Sub-Working Committee. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government, along with a number of officials, joined the Sub-Working Committee meeting. Deputy Minister Ruwan Ranasinghe says that the legal action will be taken against persons who have acquired land of the Bandarwala District Hospital illegally. He made this observation while being on an inspection visit of the hospital. The establishment of an Ayurvedic board. A WhatsApp number was introduced at the Tangala bus stand today.
Road facilities are a basic need for people. The present government has raised more concerns regarding the roads to be developed and other problems of the general public. This is a problem faced by the people living in the Mayfield estate in Hatton. The workers of the Mayfield estate living in Kotakala Pradesha Sabha area in Hatton have been facing immense difficulties since the access road to their area has not been reconstructed for years. Over 1,500 workers lives in this area. Due to the dilapidated road, they face serious problems in education, health and many other sectors. They request the present government to take immediate action to reconstruct the road under the government's new development move. We'll be back with news overseas after a short break. Moving on to news overseas, US President Donald Trump has said it will be difficult to finalize trade deal with Canada after the country announced its plans to support Palestinian statehood. This reaction follows Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's announcement that Canada may formally recognize the state of Palestine at the United Nations General Assembly in September if certain conditions are met. This move follows similar announcements by the UK and France amid increasing international criticism of Israel's actions in Gaza. The US and Canada are currently in trade negotiations aiming to reach an agreement by 1st of August. Trump has threatened to impose a 35% tariff on Canadian goods, not including in the US-Mexico-Canada trade deal, if no agreement is reached.
And now moving on to news from the sporting arena, it's cricket. The Colombo Cricket Club team was able to win their Inter-Club One-Day Tournament Championship yesterday, defeating the police team by 187 runs. The match was played as a day and night match at the CCC grounds. Batting first, the CCC team scored 387 runs for the loss of just 5 wickets in 50 overs. Nishan Madhushka scored a brilliant 88 runs. Pawan Ratnayake, in a display of excellent batting, scored an unbeaten 158 runs in 94 deliveries. In bowling, Charuka Pramod and Charuka Jayatilaka shared 2 wickets each for the police team. Chasing a victory target of 388 runs, the police team could only muster 200 runs all out in 40.2 overs. Kandy Perahera was the top scorer of the innings with 57 runs. In bowling for CCC, Inuka Karanagoda captured 4 wickets. Meanwhile, Movin Subasinghe of the BRC was adjudged the best bowler, while Sangeet Kure of the Coles team became the best batsman of the tournament. Tanuka Dabare of Marian's team Chilao was adjudged the best all-rounder, while Pawan Ratnayake of the CCC team became the man of the match in the finals. Player of the tournament was Nishan Madhushka of CCC. CCC team became the champions, while police team became the runner-up. And with that, we end today's national news telecast. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time. Signing off, I'm Vibhuda Vijay Bandar alongside Situmin Jai Ratna. Good night.
Good night.